Hey video diary. So today I'm working out here, getting some sun. And I don't know, trying to make sense. I have made some sense out of this experience, or let's just say I have embraced a few fundamental principles, grasped them more fully. And they are that we can't hold on to anything. Everything that we can recognize as temporal needs to be considered as a visitor. I guess that's the best way to put it. And in fact, we're visitors. Even though we grow out of the earth, we're what the earth does. We're what the planet does. The planet makes all kinds of things. It makes animals, plants, and it makes people. So, but in the sense that we don't own ultimately anything, and nothing that is impermanent should surprise us. It's harsh, in some ways, but it's also the key to surviving loss, because when a loss doesn't have a good, I want to say like its full round expression, it hurts us more, and in different ways, like losing a child rather than a very old adult. And seeing things for what they are, we appreciate them in a different way. Seeing things as on loan, even our skill set, even our ability to express ourselves. My teacher, Rick, one of my teachers, who passed away a year before my son, was essentially trapped inside of his body. He couldn't play anymore. I think I was the last time, he sat down and worked out, because he put together a packet for me personally. And he had paralysis, but he could still kind of scrumble through, and he had his brain, so he knew what to do with his hands, but his hand wouldn't respond, and so more and more he became trapped inside of his body. So, if we are not our bodies, we are certainly so intimately connected to them And the fact that we cannot control the rate at which they do anything. We don't consciously do any of the things that are going on inside of us that are keeping us alive. In that sense, I kind of feel like I'm riding, I'm on a ride. I got this great ride. And I can mess it up. I polluted. I could put a picture up here of what I looked like when I was like 35. And I had, you know how you kind of go through things in your life and you go through ups, and sometimes you ride those ups a little too far, thinking that that up is supposed to carry you your whole life. And then a couple years later, you're on a down because you didn't prepare for contingencies or growth. So I had periods like that where I rode out like a period of partying, during like performance years. And a dear friend of mine who worked then as an illustrator took photographs of me to use for something, and I did not realize that I had decayed my body. I had gotten soft and flabby and puffy from the alcohol, and smoking was just like deteriorating any other desire I had for true exercise, deep exercise. I kept thinking I was keeping it together and I could work, but then I looked at those pictures and shit. And maybe that was the lowest I got personally. Maybe. In that period. Wow. Can't hold on to anything or anyone. You can enjoy them while they're here and while you're here. And if you shorten that time, especially for, really I'm going to say life-denying reasons. But I don't know. If you throw your life away to do heroin, to be a heroin user like my son, who couldn't share just like a moment-to-moment thing anymore, And everyone can argue about their soul's in heaven. Do I really believe that my son's soul is somewhere? Maybe his energetic tilt, entered the whatever again and will come out again. I don't know. But I know that we don't experience it that way, and we make that shit up, we don't know. I do believe in the power of happiness, of the happiness that you can make here, or the satisfaction, because I've experienced both sides of it, where I blamed everybody for my own lack of action, consistent action. Everyone. I was a person of excuses. The biggest thing in my life is in my 30s, trying to, make it as a rock musician. I went to, my teacher was teaching at Lehman College, George Morell, a composer, guitarist of extraordinary depth. And he said, come there, And so I did, not realizing I was going to embark on 6-year odyssey in which I did get 2 degrees, 2 majors, and it was the last 5% was really hard, like just getting everything summated and done. But that straightened me out because I wasn't going on my own whatever, you know. I had standards to meet, and those standards were applied to everybody uniformly, and you met them or you didn't. And once I figured out how academics worked, which is that they have a curriculum, which means that they need to show you those things in that order in order to fulfill their responsibility to the curriculum, they haven't done their job. So I realized that's what all of my teachers were doing. They really planned out their strategies to teach us whatever, X, and that I needed to accept their input in those gradations and go through their process. So it was a process of surrender, in the sense I'm like, all right, give me what you got. I want to know. I want to really open myself to your vision. And yeah, more often than not, the professors that I had, unbelievable. I was so lucky because I could afford it. I figured out a way, because it was CUNY, which is a public school, and these professors are like terrific people that moonlight at CUNY from like NYU and Columbia, and so they're no slouches. And I realized that and took it on, so that changed my life. And that's why my proudest moment was going to be attending my son's graduation. Just because it was that milestone of knowing that he was a college graduate and that he never had to view himself as someone who didn't take responsibility for their mind. Because that was a big thing. We didn't just leave it up to the professors. Like, we discussed everything that he was studying and how important it was. What did I say? My biggest disappointment? I don't know.